Good evening and welcome to the BBC's News at 6. It's a scandal that began in the 1970s and it's taken 2 inquiries and huge determination from the families affected to get the start today of what they've been calling for years. The first national, judge-led independent inquiry into how thousands of people were given contaminated blood by the NHS. About 5,000 people with haemophilia and other bleeding disorders were infected with HIV or hepatitis over a period of more than 20 years. Some 3,000 people have died as a result of the contamination. And it's estimated that up to 30,000 transfusion patients were exposed to contaminated blood. The inquiry began with a video hearing from those affected. And this report by our health editor Hugh begins with their words and contains some flashing images.
Lies have been told, papers have been destroyed, and too long everything's been swept under the carpet.
When they told me what they'd done to me, I stood at a motorway bridge to jump off it.
I just hope, upon all hope, that I'm still alive by the time this inquiry ends.
The experiences of some whose lives have been blighted by the contaminated blood scandal played at an emotional opening of this public inquiry.
That's the 2 of us.
Barbara's husband Ronald was a haemophiliac who developed HIV from infected blood products provided by the NHS. He died 25 years ago. After all that time, she told me how she felt having heard the official public inquiry get underway at last.
This is the first emotional bit, but I think it's going to get a whole lot worse, particularly if things that people haven't thought about are uncovered.
In the 1970s and 80s, the UK imported blood products from the United States. Some were made from donated blood which was infected with HIV and hepatitis C. Donors included prison inmates who sold their blood. Patients weren't told about the risks. They've always argued there was a cover-up. One previous inquiry was privately run and had no official status. Another for Scotland was headed by a judge, but angered victims and their families who thought it failed to come up with any answers. The High Court judge heading the new UK-wide inquiry made clear he would get to the truth of whether there was a cover-up.
We have already requested a number of documents which we would not have got had this not been a statutory inquiry. It is willing to hold people to account where appropriate, and it will express its views at the end without fear or favour, affection or ill will.
It's already set to be the biggest public inquiry of its kind, with hundreds of thousands of documents and taking 2 years or more. For those who've suffered for decades, the hope is it will eventually provide truth and justice. Now, the scope of this inquiry was underlined by the announcement that former ministers, including secretaries of state and former leading civil servants, would be asked to provide witness statements. Some would be called to give oral evidence, and if they refused to do so, they would be made to attend. Now, campaigners here today were very reassured to hear that, but one said to me afterwards she was still a little worried that this inquiry would simply get swamped because of the sheer volume of evidence and material it had to get through.
Hugh at the inquiry, thank you.